Welcome to this Atvise video tutorial. In this video you will learn how you can configure charts with the chart configuration and how you can save, recall and delete the configurations. For the purpose of demonstration we will use simulated data from the OPC UA simulation server by process. Please ensure that you have installed the simulation server and added it to your Atvise project as a data source. As preparation you can watch our tutorial on the topic data acquisition, where we install the OPC UA simulation server and mirror its data variables into the Atvise project. Open the Atvise builder. First we'll create raw value and aggregate archives to historize data, which we can then use to display in our chat. Under Server, My Server, right-click on History Archives and then click on Add Archive Group, Data. Enter a name for the archive group and click on OK. Under Server, My Server, right-click on History Archives and then click on Add Archive Group, Aggregate. Enter a name for the archive group and then click on OK. Under History Archives, right-click on Aggregate Template and then click on Add Aggregate Template. Enter a name for the template and click on OK. Right-click on the template you just created and click on Add Aggregate Function. Enter a name for the function. Choose a function, for example average, and set the interval to 1 minute. This function creates the average over the selected interval and stores the value into the archive group. As archive group, choose the archive group you created earlier. Click on OK. Now we'll start to historize data. Under Server, My Server, Objects, Simulation, right-click on a variable, for example counter, and then click on Historize. Choose the data archive as raw archive and the template as aggregate template and click on OK. Choose a second variable, for example the variable expression, and historize it as well. Finally, choose a third variable, for example the variable sinusoid, and historize it. For more information on historization and aggregate functions, visit our YouTube channel. There you can find more video tutorials on these topics. Now that we have finished the preparations, open your browser and connect to your Atvise server. Click on the trend icon in the bottom menu to get to the historical chart. To configure a chart, click on the gear icon in the upper left corner of the high chart's main display. This opens the chart configuration. A new Atvise project will not have a saved configuration, so when you open the chart configuration for the first time, a blank configuration gets created and the timeline starts to move in the background. By default, all configurations are saved in the Trend CFG node. You can see this node in the list of available addresses as well as in the Atvise project tree. The chart configuration window has 4 areas. The selection area where you can choose the chart and the component you want to edit, the save and preview area, the list area in which all datasets or axes of the chosen component are listed, and the option area where you can configure all options of the chosen element of the selected component. The chart combo box shows the chosen chart. When calling up the high charts configuration via the high charts main display of the Atvise high charts library, like in our case, the chosen chart is forwarded from the main display. If there are more than 1 chart containers in one display and the chart configuration gets called up via an added toolbar, all chart containers will be listed in the combo box. There will be an additional video tutorial about how you can combine and configure the components of the Atvise high charts library. In the component data, you can add, remove and edit the chosen trend. To quickly create a simple chart, add a new dataset or choose the already existing one and then choose a variable, for example the variable sinusoid, in the simulation folder. In the component x-axis, you can change the properties of the x-axis. In the component y-axis, you can add, remove or edit the properties of the y-axis. In the area General, you can find general settings for the chosen chart. Click on the preview button or press the F2 key to change the transparency of the chart configuration window. This way you can check your settings before saving them. If you click on Load, Save, the chart memory management will open. Here you can save, load or delete different chart configurations, as well as change the save location of the configuration node itself. Enter a name for the configuration and click on Save. Change the name and click Save again. To delete the configuration, choose it on the list and click Delete. To load the configuration, choose it in the list and click on Load. Clicking the Quick Save button will save all changes in the current chart configuration. You can change the save location of the configuration node by selecting any location in your project with the address picker. Now that we have created a simple chart with one variable, we will configure a chart with multiple variables on multiple y-axes. In doing so, we'll take a look at all options of the chart configuration in detail. First, we'll create an empty configuration. To do this, enter a name for the configuration in the area Load, Save under Create New Configuration and click on Create. An empty configuration gets loaded. Click on General. Enter a title for the chart. With the checkbox's measurement marker, you can show or hide the available marker by default. With the checkbox tooltips, you can show or hide the tooltips which are shown when you hover over the chart. With the checkbox Export menu, you can show or hide the menu button for the export menu. The update interval defines how often the chart will be updated. This function is useful for applications where resources are limited. The higher the update interval is, the lower the needed processing power will be. The data source defines the interface from which the chart gets data. In the default implementation, the data source is OPC UA. The data mode defines if live data, archive data or a mix will be displayed. If you select live only, historical data will not be accessed. If you select archive only, the live view will be stopped and the data for the given time span will be requested from the archives. The time format defines the time format for the x-axis. Now we will configure the y-axis. Click on y-axis. In this example, we will assign two trends to one y-axis with a temperature scale and one trend to a y-axis with a pressure scale. Add the second y-axis by clicking on the Add button. Choose the y-axis 0. Label the axis with temperature. The label format is used to label the major tick. Enter the unit after the braces. If autoscale is active, the minimum and maximum values will be automatically calculated. If you enter these values manually, the autoscale function will be deactivated. Activate the autoscale function. The visibility is used to show or hide the y-axis. The y-axis can be scaled linear or logarithmic by selecting the scale type. Choose linear. With the major and minor tick interval, you can choose the increments. Choose 10 as the interval of the major tick. With the checkbox mouse cursor, you can activate or deactivate the crosshairs. If the option is activated, you can choose if you want to move it freely or if it should snap to the data points. Deactivate the mouse cursor option. Select the y-axis 1. Label the axis with pressure and add a unit to the label format. In the styling area you can make visual adjustments. Change the position of the y-axis to right. Change the line color, for example, to red. Change the color to the major grid to red too. Click on the x-axis. The x-axis is always the time axis. Label the axis. Change the default time span to 5 minutes. The date time format is used for labeling of the x-axis major tick intervals. For better readability, remove the tag for the seconds. Change the minor tick interval to 5000 milliseconds. You can activate or deactivate the crosshairs on the x-axis just like for the y-axis. Change the position of the x-axis from the bottom to the top. Now that we have prepared the chart environment, we can add data. Click on Data. Add to datasets by clicking on Add and select the first dataset. The type defines the graphical form for the representation. The type Line connects two data points with a straight line. The type Spline interpolates a spline through the points. The type Area creates an area between the value and the zero axis. The type toLine area creates an area between two trends of two different variables. The type Column creates a bar chart. The type Area as well as the type toLine area can be interpolated linear or via a spline between the points. Choose Line. With the checkbox Visibility, you can show or hide the trend. If you select toLine area as type, you can use the lower value address and upper value address buttons to choose the upper and lower value address. You can use this function, for example, to display a control error by selecting the actual value and the set point. To find the right variable in your project, you have three options. You can select the address with the address picker, with the tree view, or you can search it by name. Please mind that the input is case sensitive. Choose the folder simulation in the tree view and select the variable counter. Once you select the variable, it is shown in the chart and the dataset will be renamed. If the variable gets historized, the data archive is shown. Label the dataset with temperature. The input field tooltip prefix and tooltip suffix is used to add text before and after the value in the tooltip. For example, you can use the tooltip suffix to add the unit. Add the unit degrees Celsius. With the parameter tooltip decimals, you can change the number of decimal places in the tooltip. The set index is used to define which trend should be in the foreground. This is especially necessary when you work with trends of the type Area. Enter 2 as set index. The related XY axis defines to which axis the trend is attached. Make sure that for the current trend the temperature y-axis is selected. The option Interpolation changes the interpolation as well as the type of the trend. Choose Linear. The checkbox Missing Data defines if in case of missing data the trend should be interpolated between existing data or if the time span should stay empty. Nonstop defines if there should be a continuing linear line after the last value or if the line should only continue once the next value is added. With the checkbox Marker you can show or hide marker points on the trend. Change the line color. Select the second dataset. As the source address, choose the aggregate function of the counter in the simulation folder. Label the trend. Add the unit as a tooltip suffix. With the parameter tooltip decimals, you can change the number of decimal places in the tooltip. Enter 2 as set index. As interpolation type, use step. Change the line color, the line width and the line type. Now choose the third dataset. Choose Area as type. As the source address, select the variable expression in the simulation folder. Enter a label for the trend. Enter the unit as a tooltip suffix. Enter 1 as set index. Change the related y-axis to pressure. Change the line color. Finally, click on Quick Save to save the configuration and close the chart configuration. Now you can see your designed chart. With the pause button in the upper left corner, you can stop the live view. With the marker buttons, you can show or hide the markers. You can move them by dragging with the mouse. With the arrow buttons, you can move forward or backward by the x-axis time span. You can change the time span with the input fields start and end time. By clicking on the burger icon in the upper right corner, you can open the download and export menu. Here you can export the chart as an image or as its values. In the legend table you can see the name, the address of the data variable, the type of the aggregate, as well as the current values and the values at the marker positions. Here you can also make temporary changes like updating the line color. In the configuration combo box, you can find all saved chart configurations and switch between them. Congratulations, you have successfully worked with the online chart configuration and created a chart with multiple variables assigned to multiple y-axes. Thank you for watching this Atvise video tutorial.